As international public speakers and best-selling authors, stay tuned to hear Paul and Jackson teach the practical science behind happiness and success.
This is a video about happier time management, and it was inspired by the work of Oliver Burkeman. He's a journalist from the UK that I'll include some links to his posts. But he really goes through several obvious truths and lessons on time management that I think are often overlooked in our culture of sort of hyperactive, constant 24/7 productivity. And I think the most important lesson overall is distinguishing between effectiveness and productivity. And the way I define that is productivity is simply increasing your outputs, your amount of tasks done. Effectiveness is actually improving the quality of your life. So here we go. I'm going to share 5 lessons from both my personal experience and a bit inspired by reading Oliver Burkeman's work. Lesson number 1 this is mostly from Burkeman. He calls it the 3 to 4 hour rule for creative work or for deep work. And deep work is what you can think of as like strategizing, writing, project planning, right? Kind of these like tasks that it's not just like writing off a little email or sitting through a meeting, things that we have to be really fully engaged with. And what he found is that pretty much every noteworthy thinker, intellectual, philosopher, writer pretty much worked 3 or 4 hours a day. So Darwin, he usually worked about 4 hours total, and in those 4 hours he managed to find time to casually create the theory of evolution. Virginia Woolf, one of the greatest writers of all time, total slacker, right, worked 3.5 hours a day. And then Thomas Jefferson managed to kind of half-ass it, work in half days, found some time though to pen the Declaration of Independence. The moral of the story here is a half day is really a full day, and I found this really lines up with my personal experience, which is that from about, we'll say, 9:30 to 1 in the afternoon, I am a genius. I can do anything. My mind it's like I'm on the Limitless pill from the movie with Bradley Cooper. And then come by kind of early, mid-afternoon, after lunch, my mind just says, hey, that's it. Closing up shop. Sorry, Jackson. Kick 6 feet up, mind shuts off, and it's done. And so despite my trying to push against that or maybe have an afternoon cup of tea or something, that's just reality. So it was a relief to me to find out that this is a rather common pattern. So if, like me, you're more of a knowledge worker type, or you're interested in some creative activities and maybe you're worried about your productivity and effectiveness, keep in mind that 4 hours, 3 hours to do the work that's really essential is plenty. After that, you just relax, or maybe if you're like me, just pray to God, to Buddha, whoever, that your sort of dumb afternoon mind can manage to get things done. So that's the first lesson, 3 to 4 hours for deep intellectual work. The next one is do one thing at a time. And some of you might have heard this, but this is a really useful reminder, and there's a strategy that Oliver shares as well, which is as follows. And it's kind of complicated, right? So it's this very intricate time management optimization system. Here's how it goes. You pick something to do, you write it down. You do that thing. You cross it off, and then repeat forever. So this isn't exactly the operating system that's going to power the next generation of AI or something like that, but it's really useful for the human mind, which is very stubborn. We often tend to think that we're multitasking, right? We can do all these different things. And what I believe is that if you are a good multitasker, what that really means is you're good at lying to yourself. See, there's no such thing as multitasking. That's what modern cognitive science has found, is that what you're doing at best is really just rapidly, anxiously diverting your attention between the different things you're trying to focus on. So that's not to say that you can't have multiple projects on your radar or different thought streams. It's just saying that at any given moment to actually do work on something and make progress, you have to be focused on that one thing. So that's a useful strategy that you can keep in mind. He also talks about willpower, specifically willpower being a function of your environment. And again, this is some modern kind of cognitive science and psychology. What they found is that willpower is sort of like a reserve that we burn throughout the day. And just as importantly, you can't really increase your storehouse of willpower. So how do you deal with it? Well, just don't use it. If you don't have to use your willpower, you're not going to run out of it. So that's where you think of an analogy as like the willpower used with like dieting or eating healthy. How hard is that to do during the holidays where you're in a house usually surrounded by cookies and sweets and treats? It's pretty hard. But if you're just, I don't know, out in the woods, you're not going to snack. Right? That's the idea of willpower being a product of your environment. When I lived as a Zen monk, 90 days, I was vegetarian, no alcohol, no drugs, no nicotine, no nothing. And probably, 4 out of 5 of those changed within 4 hours of leaving the monastery. It's simply the environment. So if you think about productivity, that means creating a cognitive environment as well. Reducing or eliminating distractions. If you want to get anything important done, don't have your phone around you. A lot of these small changes you can make, basically creating an inviting and focus-friendly environment for you to do the things you want to do, and importantly, do things that are fun. Do things you want to do, and we're all limited by that. I know, limited to various extents by what is your career, how high are you in your company or whatever. But to the extent possible, if you do things that are fun, interesting, engaging, things that you want to do anyway, then willpower is not so much of an issue. What else? Well, probably the most important, we'll say, is this idea that just to have a good day is enough. And I love how Berkman talks about this feeling of productivity debt. So he wakes up every day feeling like he's in debt, or he's in this hole, that he has to dig himself up to a certain baseline productivity to like justify his existence. And as I read that, I thought, shit, that's kind of how I usually operate day to day, right? So I get up and I feel like I have to get all these things done, and sort of the quality of my day is determined by the amount of tasks I got done and how impressive and important they were. And what I realize is that's pretty effing stupid. That's not a great way to live my life. Right? Just to have a good day is enough. Just to enjoy yourself. Isn't that what life's really about? Sure, you can still be productive, but I think it's better not to view your life and your days on this planet as these little bits of times to sort of exchange for productivity and getting things done. Just to have a nice day, just to enjoy yourself is more than enough. And then this one's sort of a quick bonus that I want to throw in here, but chill with the damn news. So Berkman, he doesn't quite say stop watching the news. I wouldn't say stop watching the news either, because I don't want to advocate being like ignorant or uninformed or something. But especially with mainstream news, CNN, Fox, totally toxic, right? It's about cultivating outrage and distraction and sucking you into this sort of rabbit hole of disdain and frustration and anxiety and fear. Fear and outrage are the chief commodities of the news. I often call them fear and outrage porn, because those are very addictive cognitive patterns, and that's exactly how they get more viewers. And so what Berkman points out is kind of like me. He's not saying you have to totally eliminate this. He's saying just be a bit more selective and conscientious and a bit less emotionally invested in this constant stream of news. Sort of step back and invest that emotional energy back into yourself, back into your life, and start to think, how can I maybe take this information I'm seeing that I'm passionate about and use it to make actual change in the world or change in my life. So there you have it. 5 tips for happier productivity, right? You can start with maybe a little less news and a little less distraction, a little more doing and a little more investing in yourself. 3 to 4 hours, more than enough. Half day is really a full day. Create that cognitive focus, kind of friendly environment. Do one thing at a time, and remember, what is this really about? Just enjoy your life. To have a nice day is more than enough. Thanks. I'll see you next time.